Today, we're going to talk about something really important. You know that one skill that truly separates our biggest dreams from our day-to-day reality? Our goals from our actual achievements? Well, that's what we're diving into, self-discipline. Think of it as this quiet, powerful force. It's the bridge that gets you from where you are right now to where you desperately want to be. So, let's get into it. But first, let's start with a question I think every single one of us has asked ourselves. Why is it that our best intentions, those big New Year's resolutions, those promises we make to ourselves to eat healthier, or learn that new language, or finally sit down and write that book, why do they so often just fall apart? We always start with so much energy, right? So much hope. But then somewhere along the way, that initial fire just seems to fizzle out. It's a super common frustration, and today we're going to figure out exactly why it happens, and more importantly, what we can actually do about it.
And that brings us right to our first big idea here, what I call the motivation trap. See, we're kind of taught to wait for motivation to strike like lightning, to wait until we feel like doing something. But honestly, this is one of the biggest myths when it comes to getting anything meaningful done long term. Relying on motivation is like trying to sail a boat across the ocean, but you're only using those random gusts of wind. Sure, it's powerful when it shows up, but it's totally unreliable. You just can't count on it.
And this is the absolute key difference we need to get. Motivation, that's the spark. It's that exciting, emotional jolt that gets you to buy the gym membership or order those fancy new running shoes online. But discipline? Well, discipline is the engine. It's that quiet, steady, humming force that actually gets you to use that membership on a cold, rainy Tuesday morning when you would much, much rather stay in bed. See, motivation is an event, it's a feeling. Discipline is a system. You learn to act first, and what's wild is that the motivation often shows up after you've started.
So, if motivation is the trap we all fall into, then discipline is our way out. It's your real superpower. And you know what the best part is? This isn't some magical trait that you're either born with or you're not. Not at all. Self-discipline is a skill. It's something that can be learned, it can be practiced, and it can be strengthened over time, just like literally any other skill you've ever picked up in your life.
So let's just boil it down to a really clear definition, because it's so simple, but it's also so profound. Self-discipline is just the ability to do what you know you should do, even when you really don't feel like it. It's all about separating your actions from your moods. It's about honoring the promises you made to your future self, even when your present self is just feeling tired or bored or totally uninspired. And hey, this isn't some new idea. Over 2,000 years ago, the philosopher Aristotle completely nailed it. Excellence isn't born from one single heroic moment of willpower. Nope, it's the result of all those small, repeated actions that, over time, just become automatic. They become habits. So the real point here is that discipline isn't about constantly forcing yourself through misery. It's about building systems and habits that eventually make the right choices feel easier, almost second nature. Okay, so if discipline is a skill we build through habits, how in the world do we actually build it? Well, the best way to think about it is this. Your self-discipline is like a muscle. I mean, think about it. When you first go to the gym, you don't walk in and try to lift the absolute heaviest weight in the room, do you? Of course not. You'd hurt yourself. You start with a weight you can actually handle, and with consistent training, week after week, that muscle gets stronger. Discipline works in the exact same way. Every little choice, every small act of willpower is like one more rep in the gym, making that discipline muscle stronger for the next time you need it.
All right, so if discipline is a muscle, the obvious next question is, how do we train it? That brings us to our workout plan. We're going to go over a few super practical steps to start making that muscle stronger, like starting today. This is where we move from just talking about it to actually doing it.
So here it is, a simple 5-step plan to get you going. First, you've got to start small so you don't get overwhelmed. Next, set crystal clear goals so you know exactly what the target is. Then, remove temptations. You got to design your environment for success. Fourth, track your progress, because seeing how far you've come is huge for motivation. And finally, reward your consistency, not the results, to really lock in that habit. Now, let's zoom in on one of the most important steps here, setting those clear goals.
Let's really focus on this idea of setting clear goals for a second. So often, we start with something really vague, something like, I'll exercise more.
I mean, it sounds good, right? But what does it actually mean? How do you know if you succeeded at the end of the day? When are you supposed to do it? For how long? A goal like this is almost designed to fail from the start because it gives you no clear path forward.
Now compare that vague goal to a disciplined one. I'll walk for 20 minutes every single morning. See the massive difference? It's specific, it's measurable, it's actionable. There's zero confusion. At the end of the day, you either did it or you didn't. This kind of clarity is absolutely essential for building the habit and for strengthening that discipline muscle.
Now, as you start on your own workout plan, there's one thing you just have to prepare for: setbacks. Things are not always going to go perfectly. You will face challenges. You will have off days. And that brings me to this number: 10,000. What in the world could that possibly represent? It seems like such a huge number. Maybe it's the number of failures you should expect.
It represents the mindset of true discipline. This is what Thomas Edison famously said when someone asked him about his thousands of attempts to invent a working light bulb. He didn't see them as failures. He saw them as steps in a process. He completely reframed failure as learning. And that right there is the heart of discipline. It is not about never falling down. It's about getting back up one more time every single time and having learned something from the fall.
And all this brings us to a really beautiful paradox. We often think of discipline as being restrictive, right? As this set of boring rules that just confine us and hold us back. But the truth is the exact opposite. Real discipline doesn't cage you in. It sets you free. It is the ultimate form of personal freedom.
When you build self-discipline, you earn your freedom from the constant, nagging stress of procrastination. You're no longer a slave to looming deadlines or that awful feeling that you're always one step behind. You finally get to be in control of your time and your actions.
You also build freedom from the incredibly heavy weight of regret. The regret of knowing you could have done more. You could have become more, if only you just started sooner. Discipline lets you look back on your life with a sense of pride, not with a long list of what-ifs.
And maybe, just maybe, the most powerful of all, you achieve freedom from excuses. Discipline gives you the power to stop blaming your circumstances or your feelings or other people and to finally take complete ownership of your life. It gives you the power to create the reality you actually want, one consistent action at a time.
So as we wrap things up here, I really want you to hold on to this idea. This whole journey is not about being perfect. You are going to have days where you feel totally unmotivated. You will miss a workout. You will break a good habit. That is okay. That is just part of being human. The goal isn't some perfect, unbroken chain of success. The real goal is simply to be persistent. It's about getting back on track the next day and never letting one little misstep completely derail the entire journey.
And so I'm going to leave you with this one final question. Don't think about changing your entire life tomorrow. That's too big. Just think about one small thing. What is the one small, specific, disciplined habit you are going to start today? Not tomorrow, not next week when things are perfect, today. Because remember, excellence is not some grand act, it's a habit. And every single great habit begins with one small, single disciplined step.